evening, beautiful beings of light. Welcome to the Crone Zone Conversations with the Ancients. Kind of sounds like we're ancients, doesn't it? We're the ancients. I guess we are. Anyway, I'm Priscilla. Here's my buddy Heather, and tonight we welcome the wonderful Terri Suzuki. Wait a minute, what's going on? Oh dear. Sorry. I had too many open things and it was back. Anyway, so tonight Terri is going to tell us some of her delightful tales. And you know what? I think we're going to go here so you can be there.
Yes, much better.
I like that. That's good. How have you been, Miss Terri?
I have been very good. I have been working a lot this summer on spiritual stuff. I've been going to all the fairs I can go to.
I noticed you've been going to fairs.
And I have also been working on my house and my yard and I landscaped a whole different side of my house.
How fun. I love digging in the dirt. It's been weird living in a cave where I don't have any dirt. When I go up the stairs, I have a beautiful fir tree and a little garden up there.
Apartments are the same way. I keep a bag of potting soil for all my potted plants. I keep changing things. That's the only time I get to work in the dirt.
Yeah.
And that's not normal dirt.
Well, I feel incredibly victorious and incredibly got a lot of high self-esteem out of doing this yard project because I found where to buy my own gravel in bulk. And I went down to a company and had to brave all those huge trucks around me just to them load some gravel in my little old pickup. And I brought home 2 tons of gravel.
Wow. Cool. That's fun. Does kitty litter count? Not that kind of gravel.
Yeah.
But it was, I made a little path. There's just this little chunk of land on the outside of my fence that had 50 years of ivy in it. And I decided I don't want that ivy there anymore because, it attracts rats. Rats like to live in that.
Yeah.
And so I used my little old pickup to pull all the ivy out. And then I decided I wanted to put a little arching path through it and make a little food forest for the kids to walk home from school in and eat all the blueberries that I've planted.
How fun. That's beautiful. You should take pictures and show it on one of your shows.
Okay, I will. But I forgot to take pictures when it was just completely covered in ivy.
Yeah. It happens. I always forget the before and go for the after. Then I'm sorry. So let's just say hi to everybody. Diane G, Craig Dixon, Heavenly Blessed Honey, Joyful Journey, Laurie Huntsinger. Welcome, everybody.
Craig
Mary Ellen. Who else is here? Wealth, Bora Bora. Thanks, you guys.
And
lovely to see you. Hey, Terri, let's get started.
Okay.
Let's hear your first tale.
So before we say that, I just want to say thank you to both of you for always allowing me to come and say and tell my wild and crazy stories because I would just have to sit on all these forever. And
we wouldn't want that to happen.
No, it's much better this way.
Yeah. So I have 4 stories for you about reading at the 2 different MeWe fairs. So
okay, let me just say, anybody that's here that doesn't know who Terri Suzuki is, she's Kigaru Spiritual Journeys. She's a psychic medium, Akashic Records reader, and all-around spiritual teacher.
I guess kind of.
You're a teacher and just an amazing human being. And thank you for being here. Okay, you can go.
I think what I have an eye for is I have an eye for the secret sauce of the universe. I love it when I'm doing a reading and I suddenly see a little secret sauce. Then I'm like, holy crap.
I love that.
And of course, the first one I'm going to tell about also what you're going to learn about me is, sometimes these readings expand me, expand what I can do, challenge me to do something different. So the first reading I want to talk to you about is a reading that involves psychometry. So psychometry is getting a psychic hit off of something. Like if somebody, handed you this crystal and it was used to be in my possession, maybe you'd get a hit from me, And in general, I haven't really practiced that, but boy, I got to do it in a reading.
That's cool.
So, I was at the Ocean Shores Miwi Fair, and an older lady, and her granddaughter. And her granddaughter, I would say, was probably late 30s, early 40s. They came and sat in my booth and wanted me to do a reading. And the person that they wanted me to read was the older lady's daughter and the younger lady's mother.
Right.
They wanted to hear from her. And the granddaughter looked sufficiently skeptical, but the mother looked very like she's a big believer, and she's already crying. She's kind of there, and so I said, "Okay, let's go." And so I merged with their spirit, mostly mom's spirit, and it was so easy to get her daughter. Her daughter just came in like that. And she brought evidence right like that. She just was so there.
That's
And
cool.
a
She
lovely,
wanted to talk to them as much as they wanted to talk to her.
yes. Actually at this particular fair, I encountered that time and time again where that they didn't really want to be quiet at all. They wanted to keep going.
Cool.
So this lovely, lovely lady comes in. And she's happy. That's her defining quality. She's just happy. And she showed me that what she loved the most in life was family gatherings. And that she loved when family came over and, like they had Thanksgiving or Christmas or anything like that. And she just loved to have them come over. She, in particular, loved this one person. This actually just a person, a male person that would come and tell wild tales, tall tales about something that happened to him. And that she would be laughing and laughing and laughing so hard. And he would never reuse material. He had a new tale every time he showed up at a family gathering. And that was kind of part of her evidence. And both of the ladies at the same time suddenly said, "Oh, Uncle Bob." So
Love it.
Uncle Bob comes and tells tall tales. And this lady enjoyed this so much, so much. And then I noticed, that this reading was going to be different because right off the bat, the other evidence she offered me is she suddenly made my chest hurt. My kind of high heart and heart hurt. And it was a little hard to breathe. And I don't usually experience that. I don't usually experience like what they died of, or
Right.
I am
Interesting.
not, I'm not strongly clairsentient. And our good pal Sun Psychic Jean, she's really clairsentient, but I'm not.
Yes.
And so it was a little unusual to suddenly feel this and ask, did she have heart and lung problems? Is that what she died of? And yes, that had been something that had hurt her all of her life and eventually took her out early.
Right.
And so I thought, well, that's a little odd that I'm feeling that, but maybe it's because she's such a friendly spirit. She's so easy to read. She's just so loving. And Mom kind of wanted to cut to the chase a little bit more. She's like, I want to know if she's okay. And so it's almost like the lady kind of almost took over my mouth,
Wow.
she said, she's like, oh, I am so okay. You don't even have to worry about that at all. I'm having the time of my life. I don't have any pain. I don't have any sorrow. I get to see you guys do your things, your life. I'm just so happy. And she then turned to the daughter. And I always take both people. If there's two people in my booth, I take both people's names because I know that inevitably, if I'm leaving reading one, they're
Yeah,
gonna involve the other one. So
sure.
she showed me. She says, "I have no worries about you, dear daughter. You are perfect. You're going to do just perfectly fine in your life. You have everything you need." And then she showed me how much she loved her by putting this necklace on. And again, it was kind of the necklace was on the high heart and it was gold and it was encrusted with jewels and gems, encrusted. I've never seen anything in real life like it at all, not even in pictures. And it was just this
Cool.
massive amount of gems. And she would take her fingers and kind of rifle it a little bit, lift it up and look at it. And I thought that was a little interesting too. And then she went back to mom and she's like, I do worry about you. You are grieving too much for me, too much. I don't want you to waste your time like that. I want you to be happy and go towards happiness. Um, she said, just know I am so okay that I'm even kind of surprised that anyone has to ask because I'm so okay.
Right.
And so after she said that, I was so drawn to this woman's hands. I asked her, "Can I hold your hand?" And I never touch the people in my booth usually, but
Right.
but I put my hand out and we just did this and just held it up in the air. And oh, it felt so good. Oh my gosh, it felt so good to do that.
Did the lady feel anything when you touched her hand? The
Well,
grandmother?
I don't know. I didn't ask her because I was just so grooving in this. Ha ha
Right.
ha. I'm
Yeah.
just like, oh my God, not realizing, okay, she's holding hands with her mother. That's what she's doing. She's using my body to
That's
hold
so
hands with
cool.
her mother.
Mhm.
And so then I'm like, okay, come back down to earth here a minute. And nothing's happening. So let's stop holding hands. And then the mother put her hands on her thighs, kind of like this. And my whole being had to looked at those hands. And I'm just like, can I touch your hands? Can I touch your hands? And so I had to
She
put,
must have thought you were out of your mind. Can I
I
touch
know,
your
she's like, I didn't think we'd be dating, but
hand?
so I put my hands on top of her hands and oh, again, it felt so good. And I'm just have my hands there. I'm just moving them around and I'm feeling these rings. She has 3 rings on her hands. And I'm just like, oh man, this is good. And I'm like, oh. And then I'm kind of like, okay, Terry, pull it back. And I'm like, I don't know what's up. I said this out loud, but she so attracted to your hands and those rings. She's just, I mean, she is so in bliss right now to touch those. And the mom just, she said, those are her rings. I put them on today just to come here and be read.
Wow.
So she
How
was feeling,
beautiful.
she was feeling up her
Her
own
own
rings.
rings. That is so sweet, though.
Yeah.
It is sweet. She loved them so much. Such a sweet, sweet, sweet lady. Um, it was really, really fun to read her. And it was just, I had never really done really strong psychometry before like that, touching something that brought even greater
Right.
connection. And so that was interesting. That was
That
really,
is
really
interesting.
interesting.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
The
And
only
unexpected.
experience I've ever had with psychometry was I bought a ring in Key West, and when I showed it to David, he picked it up and he told me all about the owner. The young woman that had come to Key West to get married, and she'd come from Philadelphia or something. I don't remember the story, but I was like, whoa. I mean, that was early days of my spiritual journey, and I was just really experiencing mediumship through him and other things. But yeah, that was the only time I'd ever experienced it.
And
I thought it was very cool.
I've never really used it, but my brother uses it a lot with the police department when they're looking for somebody.
Right.
Wow.
If somebody is lost and they don't know where to find them. I mean, they're usually no longer with us on Earth, but he can take a piece of their clothing and then tell them and describe to them where they are. Usually well enough that the police are able to say, I know where that is, and they go find him.
Wow. That's
Hey,
wonderful.
Akila. Hey, Joan. Nice to see you, ladies.
And I noticed Craig Dixon says, Mom says hi.
Oh, that's sweet.
Hi, Martha. My next one, what happened at the very same fair. So I do 2-day fairs. So on the first day, after I'd set up my booth, a man came by, an older Hispanic gentleman, and he came by and we talked a little bit, but my spirit wanted to read him so bad, so bad. I mean, just really, really, it's like, oh my gosh, I don't know what's there, but there is something I want to know, something I want to take part in there.
Right.
And I was disappointed that he didn't book me to have me read. And he just went off and, he didn't book me. And I was like, oh, it's off. I know there was something good there. And on the second day, though, each day at these MeWe's, I book a room and I read the room. Just kind of like what I do on Allie's show, where people ask questions and I just read the questions.
Right.
And so on that day, I was scheduled really late in the day. Of course, for money-making purposes, it's better if I get scheduled earlier in the day, because then people see me and say, I want to book her. But I had been early the day before, so I got to be late the next day so that everybody gets a chance as well. And so in the room, him and his wife were there, and I got to read the whole room except for him. Even his wife got read. She wanted to talk to their grandchild. And the one thing that stood out from that room reading, it was really odd because there was a lot of suicides. I read a lot of children who had committed suicide. And that was just an odd thing. And maybe they came into my room because that doesn't freak me out at all. I don't, you show up in my room, I'm going to read you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was so disappointed again at the end of the thing that I didn't get to read him. He's the only one that didn't hold up his hand.
That's interesting. I wonder why.
Well,
I'm sure I'll find out later when you tell the story.
Yes, I think he was just shy too. But as I started to walk down the aisle to go to the back of the room, and I passed him and his wife, I said, "Sir, you're the only one who didn't get read. Why don't you follow me back to my booth and I'll read you? It'll be for free. Just come back to my booth and I'm going to read you." And he did. So I'm like,
cool.
You have followed me. And so I got him in there, and holy smokes, there was a big story there. No wonder I wanted to read him. So when he sat down, he started talking. And sometimes I wonder if that they don't just pay me to listen. But he started talking, and he had had a near-death experience. He had died and gone to heaven and then came back.
Wow.
And he explained a lot of things. So he explained that since he's been back, he can feel everybody's emotions. So if you are filled with hate and he's walking by you in the hall or something, he said it feels like a heart attack. That's like my whole chest is being grabbed.
Wow, that's horrible.
And he says it hurts a lot. And then if somebody's got a lot of worry, his shoulders feel like a ton of bricks are on it. And it really, really hurts him to feel a lot of these emotions. I mean, but he does often feel
How would you
emotions.
even go out in public if you felt emotions like that? I
I
mean, there may
know.
be people in our chat that are like that. I'm not like that. But oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
Yeah, me
Right.
neither. It's like
It,
there's a barrier.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. But that was interesting. And so he talked a little
Yeah.
bit more. And I listened to him because I love NDE stories, absolutely adore them. And then he said, well, that's kind of not what I wanted to have you read on. He said, I get that. I get it that I've had an NDE. I've gotta deal with that. He said, what I want to know is I hear footsteps behind me all the time. Is there a spirit following me?
That's different.
So I'm like, okay, well, let's take a look. So I took a look, blended into his spirit, and took a look back there and saw, yes, indeed, there was a man following him, walking right behind him. And I described the man, and he said, "That's my dad."
Mhm.
I'm like,
Wow.
okay, well, your dad is following you, and but I just took a moment to kind of look again because it was such a complicated picture. I wanted to look again a little bit. And what I saw is as I saw him walking around in spirit, I noticed that under his feet, anywhere he put his feet, this little green plant and white flowers popped up. Everywhere he put his foot down, this green, it grows in the Pacific Northwest. Here is called, uh, um, oh crap, now I'm going to forget the name of it, but it's a little
Sweet
plant.
woodruff.
Sweet woodruff. Yes,
I wrote
thank
it
you.
down yesterday.
Thank goodness. So sweet woodruff, which always stays green here, and its little leaves, even the little green part of the leaves, kind of look like a daisy. They're it's a frondy looking little thing. It's very small. It's like a ground cover. And then in the winter, it puts out these beautiful little teeny white flowers, and it has the most amazing scent to it. It's so sweet and just smells so good.
Now,
And
when I
I
come to
noticed,
visit you, you'll have to make sure I see some.
okay,
What's really
uh,
weird is as she talks, I'm seeing everything.
yeah.
Sometimes knowing in advance what you say.
Oh, I love that, Heather. So he, as they're walking him around on my stage, I'm seeing all this sweet woodruff following him, and and then as he's walking around, I also look again, and there's Dad behind him, but then I recognize there's a lineup behind him. Behind Dad, there's another person, and another person, and another person, and another person.
Whoa.
And I'm like, oh, why are there so many people behind him? And they said, my guide said, because he knows the way home. He knows the way home and they want to go home. They're hoping he can help them go home. So in other words, somehow they didn't look at the light when they were dying and they didn't quite make it. And I realized because I said I can send your dad back to heaven if you want. We can have him go back so he's not following you anymore. I said, but here's the deal. There's a lot of people behind him. There's going to be more of these people because you know the way home. And I
That's
said,
so
so
cool.
how about we do this instead? I'm going to teach you how to send them home. Okay? And you just send them home. You don't have to do anything very, very hard about this. It's really quite easy. Now, I want to back up a second. So back when we were discussing his NDE, he told me what happened when he died. He said, I had a heart attack, I died, and I went into just blackness. It was just blackness. And this is me. Blackness gets a real bad rap.
It
Okay.
does.
It's
just
actually
a
just
void.
a place
There's
of
nothing
rest.
awful about it.
Yeah, there's nothing awful.
We're just
about
afraid
it.
something's going to reach out and grab us.
Yeah, and that's not the case. Religion and movies have really done us a disservice here.
They have.
But it scared him a little bit, so he immediately called out and said, "Please forgive me, God. Please forgive me." And then he said the Our Father. And then when he said the Our Father, when it was finished, he saw a little pinhole of light open and open and open. And then he went to the light and he went over there, but it wasn't his time. He got sent back, but he then was, in heaven and knew where he was. And so my guide said, you teach him how to send them back using the way he died, using what he knows. So I told them, okay, this is how you do it. The next time you hear footsteps behind you, the next time you sense somebody's following you, I want you to stop in your tracks. And then I want you to say, I know you're there. I know that you want to go home. Here's how you go home. First, just ask forgiveness of the Creator. Ask forgiveness, and then tell the Creator what you want. Just say, I want to go home. I want to go to heaven. I want to go to you. Whatever it is that they want. And then tell them to look for the light or listen for music and follow the light, follow the music. So that's what he learned. That's what he's going to do now.
Very interesting.
And I was going to say that's right on, because my younger brother, when he passed, said it was really easy for him. My mom was humming. He just followed her humming.
Mm-hmm.
Followed her voice, wasn't it? Humming. That's right.
Yeah.
She was humming and he just followed her voice.
It's so beautiful.
And he said it didn't take very long at all. He was there.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just really, really love that one because he's so connected without having to try hard.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I just loved them showing me how soft his soul was, because the sweet Woodruff was basically telling me how soft his soul is, how beautiful he smells to the Creator.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. I was so I felt like, yep, Terry C, you knew when you met this man it was going to be good.
Yeah.
That he had some deep story that you just needed to know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Dolores Cannon always said, in her readings, most of them were just meat and potatoes, the daily stuff. And then every once in a while, you'd get somebody that would blow your mind away with who they were really, because they were all under hypnosis. But yeah, amazing. Hey, White Dragon.
Hey.
Was he happy when he left?
Yes, he was happy and he felt more confident. He felt less scared because he had been scared by the footsteps. He kind of wondered.
I would have been too.
Yeah.
I was unaware like that.
I mean, he wondered if maybe a demon was following him or something. And no, just
have you picked up an entity of some sort? Yeah,
right. And there was nothing bad following him. All the people just want to go home.
Were they all relatives too, or were they just random strangers?
I think they're random strangers. I think only the first one is his dad. I think the rest of them are just random people that saw him go around and knew that he knew the way home somehow. You know, maybe in spirit land, he's always got sweet woodruff going up. I don't
Yeah,
know.
who knows?
Mhm.
Now I want to smell sweet woodruff.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, it only blooms in the winter, so that
Right.
makes it a little harder to do it.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, I
Wow.
got some more stories.
I know you do.
Yep. So I was just seeing, I'm wondering what Diane G is talking about.
Oh, just a minute. Let me put it up. Akila was at the store and her mom, a little girl asked her mom for some eyeball bath bombs. And the mother
Oh,
responded, those are satanic. Had to walk by the aisle to look at the mom. Oh my God. And then Diane G was saying, we all have two eyeballs, so I guess we're double satanic.
oh no.
Hey, Starfish Jenny's here. Hey, girl.
Hey,
Yeah.
That's funny. You know, I don't say things to people when I just walk by. My
exactly.
mouth wants to go, you stupid bitch, or something horrible. And I'm like, no, just keep your mouth shut. Because
I
don't say
usually,
anything if you can't say something nice.
yeah, I usually keep my mouth shut.
Yeah.
So here I have two more stories to tell you, and this last one's a long one. So I'm trying to get through this one a little faster.
Look at this. Akila says we can listen to Terry's tales all day.
Mhm.
I agree with you.
That's why she's here.
Well,
Okay.
I was at a different MeWe fair in Seattle, and this young woman sat down. I want to say late 30s, early 40s. She sat down and she wanted her Akashic records read. So when I'm at these events, I will read in any mode you want to be read in. It doesn't, whatever will
Yeah.
work for you will work for me.
Right.
Right.
So so she sat down and she just wanted to know what's she doing on her path, what's going on, what. It was a very broad question, but this was not a very broad reading.
Cool.
So just so you know how I do this, everyone probably already knows I'm clairvoyant. So they show me things. They show me little movies, or they show me things. They're interacting with me, and then you might hear me say they said. They don't ever say anything to me. It's just mind to mind. It's just they just put the idea in my head. But I hear them say because it's easier to tell you that way. When I go into the Akashic Records, I first greet my Akashic Records Masters team. We all have a team of Akashic Records Masters that work for us. And so when I go there, the first thing I see is I see a little house. It looks like a little house that some kid has made out of popsicle sticks. And my team is standing in the house. So I greet them first, say hi, thank you for meeting me here. Thank you for bringing the name of the client with me. And to the left is a fence, a nice wooden fence. It's mid-modern. It's a fence I'd like to build. And they walk
Are you
with
going to build a
me.
popsicle house too?
I wouldn't build a popsicle house, but then they walk me across through over to the other side of the fence, and then I see your house, your popsicle house, full of your team.
Mhm.
And I love looking at the teams because I have never seen the same team ever. The teams are unimaginable. They're just so unbelievable. So I know that they're all really your masters are really only big balls of light and energy. I know that, but they drape themselves in something that I can read, so I can kind of see what did they do for you a little bit. What's happening here? And so as I went across the fence to read her Akashic records, I noticed that her team was very fancy. they were all wearing outfits with red feathers every, like a fan dancers, like feather headbands. I mean, just like
Red feathers.
feathers everywhere. And I'm like, whoa, this is almost like they're dancers on a stage or something. They're so fancy. And I'm just thinking, wow, that's pretty cool. And then my attention gets brought up, and there's an eagle flying over the top. Now, I don't know if the eagle was part of the team or not. I kind of think maybe it might have been helpful, but the second I tell her, okay, so you got this fancy team, we'll talk to them in a minute, but there is an eagle flying above. The eagle just is flying. And she said, oh, that's my dad. She'd been read before, and anytime her dad shows up, the first thing he puts up is an eagle. And I think it's because he was a Harley Davidson fan. Isn't there an eagle on the?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So anytime she sees an eagle, she knows it's her dad. I don't know if he's part of the team, but he showed up.
Cool.
And then I kind of went into this team and looked at him a little bit more. And I decided not to enumerate them because a lot of times I will count them. A lot of times I'll ask for their names, ask for what they do. But this team was very, very impressive to me for some reason. And I didn't really get in there and get every single name or anything. I'm just like, wow, you guys are really fancy. And then she stops me and she goes, Terri, you should know red is my favorite color. Everything in my house is red. She showed me things in her purse. Everything's red. Everything's red. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, so, Akashic Record team, would you please, answer some questions about my client? My client wants to know how things are going. But if you want, start with an initial message. I usually ask for an initial message, just something from the team.
Right.
And normally, when I ask for this message, I also ask for them to speak in one voice. I don't want a bunch of people speaking. So speak in one voice, which they can do. And so often they greet them like, dear loved one, dear daughter, dearest daughter. Or, they often have the most lovey thing to say.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't always. Sometimes they greet people differently. And they immediately said, dear mama. And I'm like,
Mama.
mama, what? And so in addition to the popsicle house, in front of your house is a sidewalk, or sometimes it looks like a little flat creek. And it's the flow of your life. That's what I see, the flow of your life. And they often walk me down this flow of the life to show me what's going on. And immediately they bring my attention over to the flow of the life. And there, sitting all the way across the flow of the life, the whole flow, sitting in a cross-legged position with her hands in mudras, sits my client in red feathers everywhere.
Wow.
And with red feathers like popping out of her, like those old cartoons where it shows the sweat beads of somebody popping out. I mean, red feathers are popping out everywhere. There's red feathers everywhere. And I'm like, oh my, she's an Akashic Record master. And they just flood my knowing with that suddenly, that she is an Akashic Record master, that she's doing work. She came down to be in a human body, to experience, and to go back to do her job.
Wow.
That they have to do these once in a while to remind them
To remind
exactly
them
what
of
it's
how to
like.
be human.
Yeah, and what
Makes
it's
sense.
yeah. I was so shocked. I was so
Yeah, I'm shocked too. That's
I
wild.
was
Yeah.
like, holy smokes. And so I told her they had more to tell her. So they're talking about the path of her life, that she is just in this life to experience everything. Don't hold back. Just experience anything. I was just amazed, and I don't remember everything that we talked about because I don't record these at the fairs because there's too much noise.
Right.
So they rarely get recorded. And so Diane says, Akashic Records Masters incarnate too? Well, I kind of think so.
Apparently, they do
I
now.
think-
We know.
I think that they come and do a life and then go back. I don't think she spent life and lifetimes as as a human. I think she's just in the body right now to find out what it's like to be in a body. Yeah, Jenny, I think so. I think yeah, I think so. I think I mean, remember everybody, I only know this much, okay? I don't know everything. I'm sure we're going to learn more about
My understanding from my guides is that our Akashic record masters have been with us since the beginning of our time.
Mhm. That's what I
So,
believe too.
yeah.
And I believe she still is that. Well, Kimby, she's asking what was her life like as a human, and it seems like it's a fairly basic life, not particularly holy, but not particularly bad either. She's living life just like we live life with all the ups and the downs, and
Mhm.
then every time I said something, she had to completely give me the feedback like almost instantly, but the one thing she waited to the end. She's like, Terri, look at this, and she had a tattoo, Mama. It was like,
You can't make this stuff up.
Yeah,
I
Mama.
was just like, whoa, okay, that's.
that explains it.
But
Wow.
to her, it also made sense because it made sense about how her life is going, how that she's experiencing things,
Sure.
and it just made her feel. I mean, she felt really good about this, really calm, and not like. I mean, she is immortal. I mean, she's wearing the body like we're wearing the body. She's a
It's
a
so
soul or a
amazing,
spirit,
though.
just like we're a soul or a spirit. You don't get any extra things. You just if you're in the body, you're in the body.
You're in the body.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's for sure. What a beautiful story, though. That is just amazing
Mhm.
to run into an arm.
I know. I was like,
Wow.
I didn't know this was possible. But
Yeah,
that's what they show me all the time.
that's very
Okay,
cool.
so yeah, and Craig says, when I was younger, I thought you had to be holy to be gifted. And yeah, no, that's not the case.
No.
And I'm so glad because I like to do this, but I don't think I
Yeah,
would be holy.
I'm not
So
very holy.
yeah, so here's the last story, and this is a long one, but it's a fun one. So
This
uh,
is a really good story for everyone to take in so that you don't take your karma with you
yeah,
over and
yeah, because
over and over again. Yeah.
this is I call this one life, 3 questions, and a lot of karma. So
Yeah.
So a Hindu gentleman came to my booth at the same Seattle show that I was at, and he was the last guy of the day. And he asked me quite a few times, "Do you read the Akashic records? Do you really read the Akashic records?" And I said, "Yes, I really read the Akashic records, really." And so he said, "Okay, I need you to read me because I have 3 things I need to know." I'm like, okay, sit on down. When I'm reading Akashic records, we negotiate on the questions that you're going to ask because maybe I can help craft a better question because
Yeah,
the
for
Akashic records
sure.
won't answer some questions. And so here's his 3 questions. Even though every single person in his family is really healthy and nobody in his knowledge, genealogy wise, has ever had a heart problem, how come at age 28, just in one point in his heart, he had to have a stent put in? And then it had to be changed when he was 38. He's like, I just can't help but think that maybe there's some sort of karmic thing to this. I really want to know. I want to know several things. Did a past life cause this? Will I need to have this replaced again? Okay, I'm like, okay, and what's your second question? The second question is, his mom back in India calls, they stay in touch, they call often, but she puts a lot of guilt on him. She's in her 70s. She wants him to come back to India and take care of her until she dies. And she's in very good health. And he's like, she makes me feel so guilty. I just always feel out of joint with her, like we don't have a good relationship, that, things are not very good. Is it my fate? Am I supposed to go back to India and take care of my mother? Or what's up with this relationship? And then the third question is, then tell me about my relationship with my wife. I married a hot-headed woman. And I'm like,
All righty
okay,
then.
hot-headed woman. Okay, that's good. So I do what I do to get into the Akashic records. I, say the prayer protection and say the key and go in and meet his guides. Now, his team is very important to this story. So I greet mine, we go across the thing, and as I go across the fence, an elephant's trunk reaches out to try to pull me over, tries to pull me towards the team. And I let it. I go over there, and the first thing I see is the head of a beautiful white elephant searching for me with its trunk. And it's the most pretty, it's so beautiful. And it's got, it's white, it's got like a little garland on it. It's just the prettiest little elephant. And I'm like, oh, and I kind of meld into its spirit. And I realized right away, okay, so this is one of his Akashic Records masters. This elephant is Lashmi's elephant, the one on the right. The one on the right.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, I like that. That's cool. And that's the one in the middle. And then I look to the left, and there is a very, very tall woman, beautiful woman. I can't see her completely. She's kind of fuzzy looking to me. She's like I'm looking through a piece of vellum, maybe. Just she's kind of fuzzy. She's tall, dressed in blue, has a really beautiful black belt on of obi, and she's just beautiful. And she's tall, she's kind of floating and tall. And I'm like, okay, she isn't going to tell me her name. None of them told me her name except for one. And so then I look over to the right, and there's a man sitting down with his back to me, and he looks like a swami. He's got like a head wrap. He doesn't have a shirt on. He's very, very tanned. He's got white breeches on, and it looks like he is alternately praying and writing. And so I ask him, hi, I'm here. What can I call you? And he says, call me Guru. Guru.
Guru.
And I'm like, okay. What do you do? And he says, I enumerate. I enumerate and write down, keep track of all these lives and keep track of stuff. And I also meditate. I meditate for the client and keep things moving well. And I'm just on the team, and I'm like, okay, wow. And so I'm telling the client all about this team, and he's taking notes. And he's like, okay. And so I said, dear team, my client has some questions. And I asked the first question about his heart. And they immediately, I mean, no waiting, just kind of sweep me up in like a whirlwind and deposit me in his life like 3 lives ahead.
Wow.
And the life is in old India. And this man is there. And he is the bodyguard to a prince. And as I look at him as he's carrying, doing his job, he's clear that he loves this prince and that he's very loyal, very loyal. He would die for this man. He believes that this is his job, that this is his fate, that this is exactly what he was brought to life, to this earth to do.
Right.
And then I see, though, also they show me his family. And I see that he has a wife, he has a son. I think I see like grandparents. And what I also notice is that he has cared for them very well. He makes a lot of money and he has given them a very good life. They don't have to worry about food, they don't have to worry about clothing.
Mm-hmm.
They have a good life. However, I also see he's racking up a bunch of karma because he's not paying attention to them very much. While he's providing for them, he's not present with them. He's only always thinking about his job, his service to this prince. And I just notice, you're kind of racking up some karma here. And so then I go back to the job and I say, you ask my Akashic Records masters, can you move this up in time and show me what happens? What's the most important thing I need to see? And they immediately take me to a point where he's defending the prince. Some people are trying to kill the prince and he gets stabbed right in the heart with the sword. Just once, just stabbed right in the heart. And that's how he dies. And that's why he has a stent right there.
Amazing.
So this is part of karma. So we talk about this, and so I asked after they kind of bring me back, I'm like, okay, guys, can you tell me, is he going to have this stent replaced? And they said yes, at age 58, he's going to have it replaced again. And I asked the man, how old are you now? And he says, I'm 54. I said, okay, well, you got a little time here before they replace it. But then I'm like, okay, does that answer your question? He's like, yes. Okay, let's move on to the second one. Why are you having such a difficult relationship with your mother? And why is she making you feel so guilty and stuff? And so right away, they take me to his mother, not to a different life, but just to his mother. And right away I notice and tell him, you're not paying enough attention to your mother. Your mother does not feel seen by you. They're telling me that you do not have to go back to India to take care of your mother. That's not particularly your job, but you do need to make her feel seen. So they are suggesting something like, getting her an iPhone and you have an iPhone so you can FaceTime each other, so that she can see you and you can see her. And then they actually gave him what I call one-liners. One-liners so when mom says something to make you feel guilty, then you have a one-liner prepared for that, where you can say, oh, mom, I love you so much, but I can't leave my job or family now. I'm very sorry, but I can't do that. But I will do whatever else I can to take care of you. They gave him a couple good lines that he can use. And so I'm thinking we're done. So I'm kind of like, okay, guys, is there just anything else that I need to know about this? And they whip me up again, take me to that past life again, the same one where he dies for the prince. And I'm standing outside of it, and I'm not looking at the people doing things. I'm looking at a flow. The flow of the life. I don't know why, but they always show me the flow. Like it's just colors going by and what they mean. And as I'm looking at colors, just saying, what is this? What are you trying to show me in the flow? Where I saw the sun and the family, suddenly a little boy tumbles out of the flow and is looking at me. And the little boy is wearing like Johnny Carson's Swami hat, like white with gold brocade all over it.
Yeah.
He's got a little vest on with white with gold brocade and pants. All of these things are way too big. They're like falling off of him. I mean, he's tumbling out in a very clown-like manner practically. And I'm like, and so I take a little closer look to him. And I'm like, and I'm telling my client this the whole time, what I'm seeing, and I'm like, oh, this is what I actually said during a reading. Oh, holy shit. That's you. That's your son. Your mother's your son. That's your mom. Your mom just tumbled out. That's your mom. It looks like a little boy. It looked like the son I saw, but this is actually your mother.
Right.
This is your mother. You have not paid attention to her in 2 lifetimes.
Whoops.
I'm like,
oh shit, is she the wife too?
no, she's not the wife, but she's like, I'm like, oh my God, you didn't pay enough attention to him. Now he's back. You got to pay more attention to her. I'm like, okay, pay attention to your mother, please.
Wow.
And then I'm like, okay, I think that's it. Let's move on to the hot-headed wife. So I move on to the hot-headed wife, and immediately they tell me right away. They're like, he's not paying enough attention either. He's not seeing her. He's
so
a great
3
man.
lifetimes he's not seeing his family, his spouses, his whatever.
Right.
Oh,
He's a
dear.
good man. He's a loving man. I can tell that, but he's not really seeing them.
Wow.
And so I start looking at the mom, at the hot-headed wife, and she loves him. He does love her. Their start might not have been a love story, but it's a love story now. And I'm like, okay, so guides, what can you do about the hot-headed wife? And they said, he has to see her. He has to see her. And they said, he meditates every day. And I said, do you meditate every day? And he said, yes, I meditate every day. And I'm like, good. Okay. We want him to get a journal, and we want him to, when he meditates, either before or after or during, we want him to write down one good thing about his wife in the journal every day. And then as those start piling up and he starts seeing the interesting things about his wife, then we want him to start giving her a compliment every day. They said, we know. Well, actually, they stopped me for a second. They said, tell him right now not to rub her shoulders. Do not go home and rub her shoulders. She will divorce you. She will think you did something wrong. Do not do that. So I said, okay, so what should he do? And they said, first, we want you to give her the compliment. We want you to maybe just say thank you for, creating such a good meal. Thank you for folding my clothes. Thank you for tending
the little things we should do for each other all the bloody time.
Right. Thank you for those things. And they said, but as he does the journaling, if he will actually do this journaling, eventually it will move from what she does for him to who she is.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And he can start complimenting on who she is.
Wow.
And then after he reaches that point, he can rub her shoulders.
Rub her shoulders. Yeah, I can relate to that. If you haven't done that forever and you come rub shoulders, you'd be like, okay, what are you up to?
Yeah. What did you do? Yeah. What did you just do?
What did you just do wrong?
So I get to that point, and he's really listening to me, and he's writing it down. which is very good. I really needed him to write this down and make sure it's
Okay,
that he,
I have a quick question about writing down. Do you bring stuff so people can write things down? Do you have a little
I
pad and paper for your customers?
so I always have a pad and paper beside me.
Right.
And if they don't have a pad and paper, because I need the pad and paper because I'm
Sure.
going to meet so many people that day. I
Sure.
have to write their name down and the name of their loved one, or I'm going to forget it. And
Absolutely.
so if that they don't have something, I will just go to the back of the book and tear out
Pull
a,
out a
a,
page.
a white page and give them a pen. I always have extra pens.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Yeah. So it was just such a good reading, so interesting, so interesting. They were so particular about this, and he's like, "Oh,
Just
thank you so much. Thank you so much for this reading." He's like, "I know you really read the Akashic records." And I'm like, how do you know that? And he says, "Because I do Indian astrology." He says it's a lot like your astrology, the same months, the same signs, the same all of that. He said, but we use different signs, different things to represent like stars and planets and stuff like that. And he said, in my birth, I think it's called your sun, right? In my sun area, he said, I have a white elephant.
Oh,
And I'm like, whoa. He said,
wow.
I also have a guru. And by the way, we say guru, they say guru, guru, guru. They say it really fast.
Guru.
I have a guru.
Guru.
And I'm like, and he said, in the sun sign, I have Venus, the beautiful woman.
The beautiful woman.
And I'm like,
Miss
whoa.
Venus. Oh my God.
I can't make that up. I know
You
nothing.
can't.
First of all, I barely know our astrology. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
impressed
me
that I
too.
knew that the sun is your sign that you were born under. And that's about the extent of my knowledge. So the fact that he knows all of this was just mind
That
blowing.
is just amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then just to finish it up, his my card system and his card didn't work out. He only had $15 with him. So he gave me the $15 and he said, I will come back tomorrow and he says, this reading was worth $100 to me. That's not what I charge at a fair, because this is just 20-minute reading. This is just quick. And I
changed his life.
thought, well, that's an awful lot of money. That's not usually what I charge. And he said, no matter. And he left. And I thought, Terri, you could have got conned here. You could have got conned, but whatever, just go, whatever. I just decided it's late. I got to go home now. He showed up the next day with $100 bill.
Wow.
and had me keep the 15 and then brought me roses from his garden.
You changed his life.
Yeah.
And as I was sniffing the roses, I told him, this would be a good thing to do for your wife.
I don't know. Bringing roses might really make her think something.
It might be like rubbing her shoulders.
Yeah.
But just from the garden. That might not be
their garden. That was beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, how lovely.
Yeah.
Terri, I don't know how you did it, but it's 1 hour and 3 minutes.
Well timed.
It is beautiful timing, girl. I mean, I always book an hour and a half, so it's no big deal, when we're doing shows, but I'm an hour, I'm just blown away. And your stories are incredible.
Yes. Yeah.
Well,
I love how we change people's lives and don't even realize it really until after the fact.
Sorry, I just moved us. So
Thank you.
I can see you.
That's okay. That's okay. Thank you so much for being here and telling us your tales. I know you'll come back. You guys, I only see one thumbs up. Would you please go hit the thumbs up? And
the other thing is the way you tell them. is so uplifting that nobody can help but smile and feel
Exactly.
good about them.
Like Laurie says, all these stories are so endearing. They really are. Hi, Morella.
And so demonstrative of love.
Yes.
Right. Well,
So
and
demonstrative of love. It
Yeah.
just shows you how much love there is on the other side for each and every one of us,
Mhm.
and how important we are.
Yeah.
right.
You know?
I have never seen anybody I've read thus far. I've never seen anybody not important to the other side, not important to the whole things we're doing. Everybody's important. Everybody is deeply, deeply loved.
And
As
deeply needed here on this planet, doing whatever it is they're doing, even if it's just living day to day and nothing
Yeah.
special.
and like one of her famous sayings, it takes a village.
Yes. Takes a
Really
village.
does.
That's what, yeah.
Wow. Thanks for those. Okay, what are you up to next? Don't you have a Monday show?
I am leaving the country. That's
Are
what
you
I'm
going back to Japan?
I wondered
Yes.
about that when that was
Oh.
going to happen again.
Oh, I hate it when you go away. I'm excited for you and your house.
Yeah. So that, but I'm exaggerating a little bit. So tomorrow I'll be on Allie's Heart and Soul at
Cool.
10, and that will kind of be and I'll have a Friday. Friday I'll have a show with Terri Lee and Sun Psychic Jean. We'll do our psychic triad, and then
good.
I am flying off.
So you won't be here for the next wisdom circle.
Well, if I can't sleep, I will be.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
That works for me.
We'll just let that determine it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Tuesday, we're going to do a show on dragons.
Mhm.
And
Dragons.
I know. I'm excited about that. And
Yeah.
I think I'm going to have some information from my dragon as well. And that'll be fun.
Cool.
And you can check with Matilda too.
Yeah, Matilda's hanging out. So she's she's excited about the dragon show as well.
Oh, good.
So that's going to be fun. And then, of course, the weekend will be Valerie back on talk about the full moon.
Yeah.
She's like, she comes every 2 weeks to talk about whatever the moon and the aspects are doing. And it's always interesting. I just love it.
Yeah.
She is the only way I know anything about astrology at all.
You and me both.
Yeah.
You and me, between her and Diana, I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somehow Val says it in such a way I can finally understand it.
I can understand it. Exactly. Yeah. She's pretty amazing. So everybody, thank you for being here tonight. We certainly appreciate it. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Please hit that like and subscribe button. We really appreciate that too. And wow, Terri, till next time.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for being here.
It was wonderful.
We love you very much and appreciate your stories. It's just brilliant. Until next time, you guys, thanks for being here.